Okay, we're all set, James?
All set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I want to welcome everybody to the Town Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. If everybody could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Craig, could you do the roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Claffey?
Here.
Commissioner Fox?
Here.
Commissioner Havens?
Here.
Commissioner Linares?
Here.
Commissioner Sobieski?
Yeah.
Commissioner Woods? Commissioner Braverman? Commissioner Gill? Commissioner Haggerty?
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum, Mr. Chairman, and Commissioner Woods is missing, but alternate Haggerty is present.
Okay, we'll have Commissioner Haggerty sit in for Commissioner Woods. And we have anything to change on the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, we'll go into public participation. If there's anybody that's on that would like to participate, public participation. I don't
Believe
see
at this
anybody.
time, Mr. Chairman, we only have the NCT streaming directly on.
Okay. All right, we'll go into zoning enforcement officer report. And Craig, you said we're gonna delay that because Andrew was out.
Right. That's correct. But if anybody has any questions about it, or they want to convey anything to Mr. Armstrong, I'll be happy to take those questions or comments.
Mr. Woods has joined the meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So is there any commissioners out there that have any questions or would like to bring anything to our enforcement officer's attention on his zoning enforcement officer report? Okay. Guess everybody's all set on that. It's nice to hear that they removed the two roosters from Hartford Avenue. And when Andrew's in at our next meeting, you'll have him at our next meeting, Craig?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no questions for the town planner on the zoning enforcement officer report, we'll go to remarks by commissioners. If there's any remarks by commissioners for anything. Okay, not hearing anything. We'll move to approval of the minutes. We have TPZ minutes for August 12th, 2020, our regular meeting. I would entertain a motion.
So moved by Fox.
Motion made by Commissioner Sobieski and seconded by Commissioner Fox. Is there any corrections for the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries to approve the minutes of August 12th. We're into new business next, and if I could have the Secretary, Commissioner Havens, read the next petition, I would appreciate it.
One moment, please. Review commercial vehicles in residential zones, regulations section 3.22.1.c, and use of residence for personal business and home occupation and professional office regulations, section 3.3.3 and section 3.4.4. Town planner memo, commercial vehicles and home business, 9/9/2020. Draft commercial vehicle regs, markup, draft commercial vehicle regs, clean, home occupations regs.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. So maybe, Craig, you could give us a little bit more history on this, because this was changed a few years ago. And it got complicated, I think, for the zoning enforcement. So maybe you could give us a little brief history, and our objective basically is to try to clean it up and make it a little bit more friendlier.
Well, I think, Mr. Chairman, you just said what I would have said. Yes. A couple of years ago, we took what was then a very complicated regulation. We tried to make it simpler, but I think we made it just as complicated in different ways. So I've taken a stab at simplifying it, which I gave to the commission at the last meeting, and it's in front of you tonight. It's in front of you in two formats. It's in front of you what I call clean, which is just the way I'm proposing that it read. But I've also given it to you with my strikeouts and underlines to show you which existing language I'm suggesting we delete and what new language I'm suggesting we put in.
Okay.
We started to discuss it at the last couple of meetings, but I think Commissioner Claffey felt that because the home business regulations are fairly well related to the commercial vehicle and the residential zone regulation, that it made sense to discuss all of them in the same setting. So that's why they're all being presented to you tonight.
Thank you. Yeah. I'll open it up to commissioners. If commissioners have any comments concerning this. Any comments from the commissioners on this proposed cleanup of the
Commissioner Claffey
regulation?
has his hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Claffey. I didn't see your hand.
I guess, starting out at, right at the beginning, 322.1. We talk about accessory structures and uses permitted. And commercial vehicles come under that section, but then I guess trying to define commercial vehicle as anything that's motorized under subsection 2, and then I'm going to go back and forth here with this concern. And then in number 3, you talk about vehicles permitted to be kept at a residential property, heavy duty earth moving equipment, cement mixers, trenching, pipe laying equipment, or other similar type of construction equipment. It seems to me that are we specific to, or are we going to try to separate this, that there's a difference between a commercial vehicle and I don't want to call it a vehicle because, equipment. You see what I'm saying, Craig? Like, you can have a large commercial use type.
Let me take a stab at this, Commissioner Claffey, if I could.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
Okay.
so basically you said we're allowed to have one commercial vehicle, but then let's say they wanted something else. They have to come in front of us under section 3.48 and present to us what else they were going to have there.
Well, I guess this allows, if I'm reading this allows you to have one commercial vehicle that is motorized. And then in the end of the section, you can also have some form of heavy duty earth moving equipment, cement mixer, trenching, pipe laying equipment, or other similar type of construction equipment. And I think that's where we get to a problem, because to me, I could have a commercial vehicle for my, let's use construction company, but then I can also have a dual axle dump trailer motorized by hydraulics. And then if I wanted to, I could come at the end and ask for a second commercial vehicle. So you could have technically 3 enormous types of machines one's classified one because it has a motor, but then a dual axle dump trailer, which could, you know, can only be used when it's hooked up to the truck in front of it. You see what I'm like,
Yeah, but let me see if first of all, when you say the heavy duty earth moving equipment, cement mixers, trenching, pipe laying equipment, and other similar types of construction equipment, you're missing a point. If you go up to 3, it says vehicles permitted to keep at the residential property in accordance with do not include the following. So the heavy duty earth moving equipment is not allowed. Cement mixers are not allowed. Trench piping laying equipment is not allowed. Construction equipment is not allowed. They have one commercial truck there, and then all of a sudden they decide that they want a couple other things there. They're going to have to come in front of the board and explain to us how they're going to store it and where it's going to be parked.
so that brings me, okay, I get it, but that brings me to a landscaper now who needs to come before us if he wants to have I hate to say it, a plow dropped in a 9-foot plow, or someone could. You see, I'm getting like.
Well, a plow is a plow. There's residential people that have plows. We would hope that the people would put the plows on their side of the yards behind their fences so that it wasn't they're not the most appealing thing. So, but what's the problem with somebody having a plow?
I remember that was brought up about 2 months ago in these meetings, and that language was in this, not this version, but it was in a past version of this, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Minor.
Yeah, that's correct. I took a stab at this a couple of months ago because we were coming out of the winter, and we'd had some situations where self-employed landscaping contractors brought their snowplows home at the end of the day and just dropped it in their front yard, and that was an issue that like I said, I took a stab at dealing with in the home business regulation, because it seemed like an appropriate place to put a piece of equipment that someone with a home business might typically want to have.
Any other questions, Commissioner Claffey?
Define on the end, Mr. Minor, number 5, comply with paragraph 3 of this section. What are we talking about paragraph 3? Is that
Right.
number 3?
Right. So what this paragraph 5 does is it gives somebody the opportunity to come in front of P&Z to keep something that otherwise would be prohibited, but this gives them the opportunity to come before P&Z at a public hearing where the neighbors can come in and speak and present his case, why he has a unique situation such that this extra vehicle or this otherwise prohibited vehicle in his case, because of the way he's proposing to maintain it, would be compatible with the neighborhood at the discretion of the TPZ.
Okay. And one of my last questions is if we, I don't think we should put a poundage on vehicles. And my reasoning is in our language under, in paragraph 1 or subsection C1, we say a vehicle not exceeding X weight and not exceeding square footage of cargo area. But then we get in to commercial vehicles, in number 2, include but are not limited to, step van, pickup trucks, cargo vans, box trucks, flatbeds. Or most of those in A, I would say majority are under a poundage of even 15,000. But you can get I could go buy a box truck, cab and chassis, and put a box on the back, and it could be 18,000 pounds. You'd never know the difference. It looks just like a truck I would go buy at the Ford dealership for me to drive my kids in. So I don't think we want to maybe not put a weight, because I think our biggest concern in this town is, and I wish Andrew was here or Craig can speak for him, is a lot of our so-called truck issues with commercial vehicles are a lot more of these triaxle dump trucks and large payloaders, like down on one of the streets we cited them. I think it was on Vivian. And it's not really your typical van contractor, plumber, or electrician, etc. So I don't know if we want to take the weight out.
Yeah.
I think the rest of it's great. We kind of taken away B, C, and D and wrapping it up with the way Craig has done it, like with the chapter or paragraph 3, 4, and 5. And then because most pickup trucks that you and I, let's say myself or a contractor would drive, would have 4 tires. Some have a dually, which is 6 tires, but anybody could go buy that. As Commissioner Wood said Commissioner Wood said it, but in the memorandum, Craig talks about, yeah, I could throw 2 tons of dirt in my normal pickup truck, but it's 99% of the time I'm driving my family in it, as a homeowner. So I think it's good. I don't want to put a weight in. I don't know what other commissioners think. Those are my 2 cents.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Claffey. I agree with you. I think the weight could become a problem with us, and then some dump trucks are 15, some are up to 19.5. So there's also, you have the possibility of somebody that's on call and he has to bring his wrecker home. I'm in agreement with you that I think the weight classification on number 1 should come out. But then also down on 2B, where it says any vehicle outfitted with a backup alarm shall be deemed a commercial vehicle. I'm wondering if we should take that out, because Commissioner Woods brought up that there's a lot of vehicles out there that have backup alarms that aren't commercial vehicles.
I have to agree with that.
So what were you saying, Commissioner Fox?
I agree with that. I mean, you could go using Commissioner Claffey's example to the Ford dealer in Berlin and order an E250 van, which is well within limits, with a backup alarm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, let me advocate just for a second for keeping it. Remember, you can have a commercial vehicle. You're allowed 1 commercial vehicle. And if the 1 vehicle you have has a backup alarm, okay, that's the 1 commercial vehicle that you're allowed to have. So it wouldn't prevent someone from having a backup alarm.
But if I may, I think with this backup alarm is we're making an assumption that a backup alarm deems it to be commercial. And I think what Mr. Fox might be saying, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, is that you can go buy that Econoline E250 van for your personal use, and it's a big van. They're big vans, and they fit under the weight capacity. But a lot of people put backup alarms on just for the safety of the visual and the alarming of people. Hey, I'm backing out. I don't think if we try as a town to say, well, you put a backup alarm on that, then you're a commercial vehicle. I think that's a little stretch in the.
Well, let me throw one more thing out and then I'll drop it.
Yeah.
We got a lot of complaints at one point, and it was a homeowner, it was a neighbor dispute. But the one neighbor was complaining about the other neighbor who gets up at like 5 a.m. and backs his car out of the driveway with the backup alarm. And that was very annoying, according to the person who called. And yeah, I can see how that would be. So that's why I threw this in there, but it's your regulation, gentlemen. It's up to you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, James.
Commissioner Sobieski would like to speak.
Okay.
I'm just a little confused here where it says under 3B, buses, semi-tractor trailers, dumps, and wreckers. We're saying those are prohibited. Yet, we also allow somebody to come in and take the wrecker home if they're on call. So I don't know if you want to try to modify that so it gets a little more clearer or not. It's only a suggestion.
Yeah, Commissioner Sobieski, that was one of the other points I had marked out here. I'm wondering if dump trucks and wreckers should be taken out of it. You have small guys taking a small truck home or a wrecker home, and I don't know if those should be classified as not allowed. Any other comments from other commissioners?
Yeah, I have one.
Hold on one second, Commissioners. Commissioner Woods, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have an issue with 3.22.1, 2, that first paragraph. I think it's, for me, it's just too general. And basically, it's basically telling you any vehicle, whether it's registered as a commercial vehicle or not, we consider a commercial vehicle if it's used for business. Like a guy doing a paper route, he's using his car to deliver papers. Does that become now a commercial vehicle? And if he wanted to have a small dump truck, he now needs to get permission. I like the A and B. I don't have issues with that, although I do agree with you, Mr. Chairman, that we might want to take the wreckers out and possibly the dump trucks. These are difficult because Mr. Minor hit the nail, I think, right on the head. Most of these aren't really so much to do with the vehicle as to do with the neighbors' disputes, and they're not happy with each other. But I would think maybe what we could do, and I don't know if we can regulate this, Craig, if you could help me on it. Can we make it mandatory if there is a backup alarm? It is now a white noise alarm. It is much less offensive at the early hours or late hours of the evening. They don't seem to pierce through you. Most of the construction jobs we are on now, they require that.
What was that now, Commissioner Woods? It's different backup alarm?
Yeah, it's a different bag. They call it a white noise. So it's any of the universities that you work on now, any of the schools, they make it mandatory that you have it on all your vehicles.
Which is not as loud?
It's not as loud, yes. And it does make a considerable difference.
Commissioner Woods, are you allowed to have a cutoff on a backup alarm? So if you're in a residential zone, you can cut it. For instance, if you're backing in and out of the driveway, is that legal or is it not?
No, you used to be able to do that. Like Caterpillar equipment used to come that way. It no longer does. Caterpillar equipment used to come with settings. You could do like low, medium, high. They've done away with all that because of OSHA.
Okay, thank you.
Unfortunately, like we have several newer mini excavators. They now not only have a backup alarm going backwards, that backup alarm is whether the machine's going forward, backwards, or sideways. Any movement on that machine, there's an alarm.
So Commissioner Woods, on 3.221, basically you wanted to make it so that the vehicle has to be registered as a commercial vehicle, possibly? Is that what you're?
That's what I would like to see, yeah. Because I think we're going to open ourselves up to a regulation that we can't enforce just because we're basically saying everything's a commercial vehicle if you use it for business. And a lot of people use their cars for business.
Mm-hmm.
And Craig, I'm not trying to pick on you, but I'm trying to help you or help all of us get a regulation that, that's effective.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Woods. Commissioner Havens and then Commissioner Claffey. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As far as taking out the dump trucks and the wreckers completely, that might be a mistake. If we could word it as such where, if somebody's bringing it home because they're on call for a day or two or over the course of a weekend, that's one thing. We don't want it to get to the point where people are bringing it home just because they can now and it makes their life simpler. If, once or twice a week, once or twice every other week, something like that, I think is acceptable. But, we certainly don't want people just parking dump trucks and wreckers in their yards, every day of the year.
Thank you, Commissioner Havens. Commissioner Claffey?
My question is really, it spawned a new question off of Commissioner Woods is, if we go the route of putting a commercial vehicle as a registered commercial vehicle, and I agree with him, a lot of people go to work and or do work in their vehicles. You can classify it that way, but how are we going to differentiate and guarantee, because each type of business is regulated by different different departments in the state of Connecticut, and you could go register, a commercial vehicle like that I use is first goes through a different department before you even go into DMV. So just like a moving truck is regulated first at the DOT and not DMV. So I agree with making it a commercial vehicle, because truly is it based on how your vehicle is insured or who the ownership of that vehicle is.
Mr. Claffey, isn't there just one plate, a commercial plate, or is there more than
No,
one?
there's multiple. Like my business, there's 6 different commercial plates. It can be service.
That's because it's a livery.
No,
So,
yes, but the same with a moving van, you can be apportioned, or there's different, there's different commercial vehicles that are regulated by different departments.
so if it said that it had to be, if it was a commercially registered vehicle, and then you could list the type of plates.
What I'm getting at is what defines a vehicle as a true registered commercial vehicle.
DMV.
Not always. That's all. I'm not, I agree with Mr. Woods that you can't, that a standard person, like I could go get a combination plate and it be deemed differently than a regular normal plate. And it could go on the same exact vehicle.
I understand.
And that vehicle is not registered as a business. It's registered in a person's name. So that's why I'm saying this is and agree with Mr. Minor.
So in that particular instance, then they would not be required they could park it because it was a combo. And if it had a commercial plate, then obviously they were doing more commercial work, and then they would have to, apply.
But you still haven't defined what the town is defining as a commercial vehicle. That's where I think this hiccup is. There's no set definition.
Maybe okay. Commissioner Woods.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if this will help or not, but again, I've got a lot of commercial vehicles. We all know that. If Stephen Woods went to register one of my trailers, I could register one of my mowing trailers and small tag-along trailers, and I could register it with a regular plate. But if Stephen Woods, Vice President of Stonehenge Landscaping, goes, I could want to register it with a regular plate. I'm going to leave there with a commercial plate. Motor vehicle will not allow me to register it non-commercially. I don't have any choice in that. Now, where the problem is going to come, and Commissioner Claffey touched on it, is the quasi businesses, that really aren't businesses. So, but I don't know how we eliminate that completely. But there is a mechanism at the motor vehicle department to try to help us define commercial versus non-commercial. And I think we need to kind of piggyback off of that. Thank you.
Commissioner
Thank
Penn?
you. Thank you, Commissioner Woods. Commissioner Sobieski, did you have something?
Yeah, so when we did this, didn't we, when Mike D'Amato did this, didn't he look at motor vehicle regs to try to figure out how to define this? And I didn't think they were that helpful. Maybe I'm wrong, but I seem to remember him stating that when we were working on this.
Maybe the town planner could possibly look into this for the next meeting to come up with a better way to define the commercial vehicle. Craig?
Yeah, I can do that. And yes, Commissioner Sobieski, I do recall Mike D'Amato also tried to use some of the DMV's nomenclature, and that might be why we ended up getting very complicated. But I'll look into that.
Right, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the combo plates were what the issue was, because I think the combo plates have a weight on them, if I'm not mistaken. And they're mostly used for people going down the originally was established for people going down the Mary Parkway.
Hey, thank you, Commissioner Sobieski. Any other commissioners have any comments on this? So I think everybody's in agreement that we want to try to clean this up a little bit. We'll have the town planner look into how we can define a commercial vehicle. And then we'll take a good look at it next meeting. If there's no objection, we'll move on to the second part of this, which is the home occupation businesses. Frankly, I went through this and I can't see where I would be in favor of changing anything. I think it's pretty good, but it was nice to pull it up because they kind of sometimes touch upon each other. But I'll open it up to commissioners' comments to see if anybody has any concerns with the section 3.3, 3.4. Any comments on the home
I do, Mr.
businesses?
Chairman.
Commissioner Woods, yes.
Actually, I do agree with you. I think this is pretty well written. It doesn't seem to be causing us any sort of problems throughout the town. So I think this is one regulation that actually is working and doing a good job. And until that changes, I think we should leave well enough alone.
Thank you, Commissioner Woods.
I also concur with Commissioner Woods.
Thank you, Commissioner Sobieski.
And I agree with all three of you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Fox. Commissioner Havens, did you say you agreed?
I didn't say it, but I do.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Any other comments, Commissioner Claffey?
The only question I had was, and I don't think we have any in Newington, and if we do, and any of the commissioners know of, and it may be coming down due to the current, COVID situation. I think a lot of people are going to be changing the way they do business. I think a lot of people have seen that. But when we get in the bottom of the home occupation, if you scroll that page down a little bit, that's on the screen, when you get into home occupations, offices in residence, medical/dental, and we touched on it with, beauty parlors when we were against it, but maybe some other of if there's any that we've approved that are medical or dental. And I only bring that up because I'm thinking of like where I see it a lot is, in the west end of Hartford, where you have a 3-family home, and over time they've been converted into offices, and some are still homes on the 2nd and 3rd floor, and the doctor has an office on the 1st floor. I guess I'm asking this is if we have any in town, and second, because of you're looking at, we've already talked about in our POCD with parking and current parking issues at when new businesses try to come in. So, I know it's a broad question, but could this or would this need to be looked at further if there becomes, I guess, due to maybe a dental office doesn't want to be in a 5-story office building. He wants to come work and buy a 3-family house, then come put a dentist in the first thing. I don't think we have any here, but
yeah, the problem with that is you can't grow much because the medical and dental is pretty much for a single operation, a very small operation, just one doctor. I'm not in favor of having a big medical and dental in residential zone. I think the reason it's in here is in case there was a single doctor that had to have an office, and that was all he wanted. If I'm not mistaken, is that correct, Craig? Or
This regulation has been there for a long time, but I think it's a holdover from back in the day when a dentist or a doctor, or for that matter, a psychiatrist or some other doctor of that sort, could have a little office in his home. I remember I had a good friend in college whose dad was a dentist, and his office was in their home. But I don't think you see that anymore.
okay, I'm only asking the question, Mr. Chairman, because I think we're going to see a big influx of, maybe not in the next 6 months, but a little later. I know maybe 2021 of companies that are going to get away from the old office space and figure out other ways to do it. So I just bringing it up as
Yeah.
something to watch. You know, that's all. That's the only thing I had with home occupancies.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Claffey. Any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Sobieski.
Don't we have a medical dental office at the corner of Main and right next to where the old town hall was? It's in that brick house on Main Street next to Jimmy Wells' house.
Yes. Yes.
I believe so.
That's what I was going.
Is that a residence too? I don't think there's a residence there. That's just the two dental offices.
No, it's a residence, Mike.
Okay.
Okay, is there?
Yeah. I'm just, as I said, you know, I'm just bringing it up to. I don't think it's not a problem in town. I'm just trying to look at the future.
Yeah.
So.
All right. If there's no other comments on that, we could go over to old business. Is there anything else that you guys would like to talk about on that? All right, we'll move over to old business. The first thing on old business is our performance bonds, and we'll have Craig go over that with us now and give us a report.
All right, we have two left that have not been dealt with. The one is at 188 Costello Road. That's an industrial building that's under construction. As I said in my report, they haven't finished the landscaping or the dumpster pad, but the last time I spoke to them, which was a while ago, they were content to wait until they finished the project rather than request a partial release, even though it would have been the lion's share. But they seem to be content to leave that as it is. And then the other one is the house at Waverly Drive. And I think, Mr. Chairman, you said you were going to go take a look at to see how you feel about releasing the bond.
Mhm.
For the
Yeah.
driveway.
Okay, how did you make out, Craig, on the real old ones?
Yes, as you might expect, the real old ones, it's a bit of a challenge to find out whether the party, first of all, whether the party that paid the money back then is still the owner, and number two, whether they still have the same address. But I am finding them. For example, LA Fitness, which was posted back in 2005. I contacted the address. I went online, did some Googling, and found them, and they are still in business. And yes, they would like their money back. So, as I tell you every 2 weeks, I'm slogging through them.
Okay, I think the other commissioners would agree with you that if there's a handful of them that we don't find and we can't find the rightful owner or the business has gone out of business, then report back to us. And at the end of this project here, we should take all the extra money that's in here and send it back to the general fund, send it to the town council, I guess, and tell them that these funds aren't needed in our account anymore for the performance bonds. For instance, part of the opening balance, and then there could be a couple other ones that you may have a hard time getting a hold of. And if that's the case, then I agree with you, Mr. Minor, that the money should go right back to the council to be put back in the general fund. On that Waverly Drive, I looked at it. It was a particular house that they turned the garage, I think, sideways instead of typically being facing the road, and that somewhat caused the problem. I don't think the neighbor hasn't complained about it or anything. It's not right. I can understand your feelings on it. So I'll open that one up to the commissioners. If they feel that we should just hold on to that, then I don't have a problem with it. But we'll see what the other commissioners want to do with it. Any comments from the commissioners?
I guess on Waverly Drive, I mean, has the subdivision plot plan and as-built been submitted and approved as is, or is it still
It's all old. It's from 2006.
No, I know.
In all reality, when the plans were reviewed by the building department, they could have probably told them, look, if you have your garage this way, you're not going to have enough room.
Yep,
So
yep.
I think part of the blame is there. Part of the blame is the builder knew. So, there's blame to go all the way around.
No, but what I guess I'm saying is I'm releasing it. It's to a point now where the sales have been done, the deeds have been done, the drawings have been submitted, all the pinpoints of the survey have been done to release the building permit, or excuse me, the certificate of occupancy. So it's almost a moot point because
Yeah,
we
They-
all missed it.
they could have held the CO back until he corrected it, but that was never
So
done.
Now it's almost, if nobody's complaining about it, the neighbor's not mad. But I guess my question now is that, and Mr. Planner, does that make 95 Waverly Drive a non-conforming lot possibly because of the setback or the way that?
Yes, actually, yes. If the owner of 95 Waverly or a prospective owner asked for a certificate of zoning compliance, it would come back cloudy. It would come back with the statement that the driveway is non-conforming.
Okay.
I don't know if that would hold up a sale or a mortgage, but yes, that would be part of the report.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I personally don't have a issue with releasing it, but majority rules on our committee. So
Commissioner Woods?
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Claffey. I think when we do this, if we're going to hold money, I don't think we should hold money for 14 years and not really do anything about it. We held the money for a reason. And initially there was probably an issue going on there, but yet we didn't do anything about it for 14 years. And the only issue I think exists right now between us and the person that posted this bond, and I don't even know if the homeowner is aware of it, and they might be. And my guess is when they go to sell their house, they're going to correct it. The driveway is going to get cut and it's going to be a little bit narrower. So they're now in compliance. Again, I guess in the future, if we're going to take money like this, just like we did for the development at the Peckham Farm, we did pull the bond from that and that money went back. And I'm happy to report I drove by and the road's paved. So, it was done for its intended purpose, but I would vote to return the money.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Woods.
Yep.
Any other comments from the other commissioners?
Yeah, Mr. Tom Gill. How many feet are we talking about here?
It's 5 feet off.
Doesn't matter.
Now, is there room to buy that 5 feet?
They have-
Well, that actually was one of the things that was discussed many years ago. The homeowner, at one point, Ed Meehan, my predecessor, gave up trying to get the builder to fix it because he was done. He was gone, even though he left $5,000 behind. My predecessor then dealt with a homeowner, and the homeowner said that he was going to talk to his neighbor about buying a sliver of land from his neighbor to fix the problem on paper, but that apparently never happened.
But there's $5,000 there that we could just spend that $5,000 and buy the 5 feet.
Well, we can't do that. It's a private properties there. So we can't buy property for the private properties. And none of these we've tried to solve something that's so old, We either hold on to the money or we give the money back.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have to agree with Commissioner Woods as far as number one, returning the money. There's enough blame to go around. Nothing's been done about it for 14 years. And if the neighbors, as I forget who said it, is not aware of it, I was concerned about the non-conformance, but that's not going to come up unless somebody looks for a mortgage. So I would vote to return it and just get it over with.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Fox. So it looks like the majority of you is all in favor of returning this. Is that correct?
yes, for me.
Good, you got
Okay.
about four of
Yes.
us.
Yes, for me.
Okay. Anybody else?
Fox also.
Okay.
I concur.
Okay. Very good. It looks like Craig.
Yep.
Thank you. Looks like Craig, we return the money. But now is everybody understand and in agreement that if the planner finds that some of these businesses are no longer in business or he can't locate them, that if he has nowhere to send the money, then it's going to stay in this balance here in the performance bonds, and then after we get everything straightened out, whatever that total is, we should clear this from the bond performance bonds and send it back to the town council to be put into the general fund. Is everybody in agreement to that?
I agree. Fox.
Yep. The only question I have, Chairman Payne, is the due diligence and how we're gonna guarantee that we've done the proper due diligence.
I'm gonna leave,
before we send anything back to town council.
I'm gonna leave that up to the planner along with the consulting of the town attorney.
Okay.
And I'm sure that maybe the planner could fill us in now on.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I was thinking about that just now. I think what I'm going to do is, once I have exhausted my efforts to find the rightful owner, I'm going to come back to the commission and ask and name with the actual addresses and specifics, and then have the commission vote to move that money into the general fund with the actual names of all those bonds, so that it's not vague or someone can't say that the record wasn't clear that it was his money that the TPC voted to send to the general fund.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the only question I have is on that I can see here, there's two condominiums, Foxborough and Horizon Hills. If you can't track down the developer, I think that money should get returned to the association, if that's possible.
That's a good idea, Commissioner Woods, and I think we can, when he brings that back to us, we can make that determination on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, thank you.
Is that all right, Craig?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, my computer froze just as Commissioner Woods was speaking, but I heard the tail end of it. So I guess what you want is me to, in fact, bring them back one by one, and then you can discuss each of them.
Correct. Yeah, correct. He was concerned that if there was a few of them with the condos association, we couldn't find the owners, whether or not legally we could return it to the association or not. And then, if we can legally, whether or not we want to do that or not. So I think once you get more information, you could bring it to us, and then we can act on each one individually.
Okay.
Is that all right with everybody? Does anybody have any other concerns?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. So, under old business, there's nothing else under old business. We have, two petitions for, scheduling. So I'll have, the town planner go over that.
All right, the first one is a conventional, a freestanding commercial sign. This will be for that commercial daycare that TPC approved the site plan for last year. They want to have a commercial sign out in front. So I recommend the hearing for that be scheduled for your next meeting on the 23rd.
Okay. That sounds good. And then we have petition 30-20. Are we going to have that at September 23rd too?
Well, that is the applicant's request, is that it be scheduled for the 30th. I mean, for the 23rd. There's no legal impediment to doing that. It's up to the commission if they want to schedule it for that date or not.
Yeah, I don't see a problem unless there's an objection from one of the other commissioners. I think we could put both those things on for September 23rd.
Okay. All right. I will take care of that. And
Any comments from the commissioners?
I have one question regarding the petition 30-20. And it has to do with the paperwork side of that. I know sometimes when we're in a meeting at the town hall, we have the drawings, big drawings, etc. How efficient are we going to be able to get us, the commissioners, the documents that we can actually see something?
yes, well, I will mail to you a 8.5 by 11, maybe legal size map showing the boundaries of the proposed zone.
Yeah.
And of course, it will be displayed on your computer.
Okay.
I
mean, I'm looking at the drawings that are in the packet that were supplied to you, then supplied to us, and you really can't, it's very vague.
Yeah.
Or not vague, it's all there, you just can't see anything.
Commissioner Claffey, I understand your point, and I was going to ask for a full set of drawings. I think they have to give you full sets, don't they, Craig?
Yes, if the commissioners feel it would be helpful to have, 24 by 36, that's not a problem. I can do that.
All right, so if there's a commissioner that would like the full set or the larger set to see it, I would be one of them, Craig, and I think Commissioner Claffey. And if the other commissioners want a full plan, then request it now, and we'll get it to everybody.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll just do it. I'll just have the applicant give me enough copies so that because I'm hand delivering them anyway, so that's not a problem.
All right, I think that could come in handy for everybody. Very good.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
No, that was it. Thank you.
Tom Gell,
Yes.
I was hearing one of the commissions talking, and the town manager was talking about proposed streetscapes, possibly in the Briarwood area, the intersection where Yanni's is, and the question I have is, the new gas station that we approved, are they going to be doing streetscaping, and is that going to affect, are they going to, rip up something, within the next 2 years?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, I'm looking at the agenda and I see I left off town planner's report, which would be a good place for me to talk about that. Well, then I'll just talk about it, I guess, now.
Okay.
If that's okay with the commission, and if our clerk doesn't mind, because it's kind of screw up our minutes. Yes, Commissioner Gill. A few months ago, the town manager and I talked about possibly creating a streetscape project in that area of town, similar to what's been going on in town center for the past decade or so, with curbs, sidewalks, decorative lights, and so forth. And we put together a grant application that was submitted to the state. Actually, we submitted three different ones, but the one that seemed to have the most traction with the state and the one that Newington liked the best involved the business district down on New Britain Avenue. So that's the curbs and sidewalks project that we are on the cusp of getting a $500,000 grant from the state to do, and we'll be working on a project down there. But so I don't see anything happening in the area that you are asking about.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Minor. And I would suspect that you're going to work closely with the businesses over there when you get closer to starting that project.
Yes.
And I think that's going to be an excellent project for that neighborhood, the small businesses over in there. So I'm glad they picked that area.
Yeah.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Is there anything else on your town planner's report, Craig?
No.
Is there any communications?
No.
Public participation, if there's anybody else from the public?
No public attendance other than the NCTV stream.
Thank you, James. Any other remarks from commissioners? I've got one, Craig, on the restaurants since we've helped them out with these outside dining and everything, should we get a note to them telling them that, that they can keep this as long as possible and then into the spring? I'm not sure how you left it with them last.
Right. Yes. Well, where I left it with each of them was that there was an expiration date on their permit, with the full expectation that we would extend it if required. And since then, there have been new executive orders issued by the governor. So I think your point's well taken, Commissioner Chairman. I will contact all of those restaurateurs and let them know what their rights currently are under the latest executive order.
So what's that new executive order continues to February or March?
That's exactly what I don't remember. So, but I will find out and make sure that it addresses that.
Yeah, it's February, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you.
I think it's the 24th of February.
All right. If it's okay with the other commissioners, I think we should notify them all that if they need this in the springtime, even if the executive order is lifted, that they can use these blocks into the springtime until things get back to normal. Is that all right with all the commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay with Fox.
Thank you, Commissioner Fox. All right. Thank you. Commissioner Sobieski?
Yes, it's okay with me, yes.
Thank you. So maybe you could address that with the businesses. Thank you. I have nothing else. Is there any other comments from the commissioners? Nothing else? Well, I want to thank everybody. It was a nice short meeting, but we got some things accomplished. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion made to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody, and good night.
Good night.
Good night. Stay safe.
Mm.